So why are we out here today?
I cannot stand Trump. The country cannot survive with him as the president any longer. He needs to go. He needs to go now. As my sign says, he's a liar. Everything he says is a lie. You can't believe anything. And that's the thing. Other people, they hear those lies and they're like, yay, yay. But it's never going to come to fruition. They're never going to get what he's promised. And
None of it?
No.
I mean, hasn't he done some of the things that he has promised? At least, maybe not all, but he has done some at least.
I think he's done more harm than good. I do.
I mean, you could say it's harm, but if his promises were to do harm and he does those things, isn't that still a promise kept?
Those are promises he made after he was in office. The promises that he made before he was in office are not all coming true. Those were just hooked.
He talked about lowering taxes, putting in conservative justices. I mean, he's done some of that, right? During the campaign, he said that.
Taxes for his people, for the rich people.
It was like 90% of the country, actually.
Yeah, but if you look at the percentages of the taxes that were lowered for each wage group, it's not a fair distribution at all. He's just helping his people, and he always has. That's all.
It disproportionately helps the well-off, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I'm not one of those. And then I just don't understand how he could have handled the immigrant children the way he did. Just treating them like they were a commodity rather than a human being. And then they lost so many children. They didn't lose them. They just don't feel like looking for them. They don't know where in the paperwork it got lost.
Well, didn't that happen under the Obama administration as well?
That I couldn't tell you. That I really don't know. I just didn't know about that situation before. But
I mean, the lost children, for example, when they come and they're unaccompanied and they have to put them with foster families, sometimes the processes to go through and put them with those families, it's not the easiest to always get the information to be able to contact them when they want to, bring the children and reunite them with their parents. So sometimes those people, they just leave a phone number or something, and then you call that number and it's a, bad number, or they changed it or they moved, so it's hard to get into contact with those people.
That's not their fault. When they came, they weren't given honest truth. They were just asked information, and they didn't realize. I guarantee you that most of them did not realize that the answers they were giving would lead to losing their children and to never be able to find them again.
No. These children are the ones who came without their parents, though.
Well, that's a different story. If you have children that came without their parents, well, certainly they have to be cared for, and that's a different situation. I'm talking about separation, and I'm also talking about the freaking cages they chose to keep them in, and the...
You're talking about the pictures where they showed them in the cages? That was under the Obama administration.
I don't believe that.
No, it was like that circulated early on, and then people were saying, "Oh my God, Trump's putting him in the cages." But I believe those were actually from like 2014 or maybe 2011. It was under the Obama administration. Those the cage facilities, those detainment centers, and it was under the Obama administration.
I don't have any information about that. I would like to research that. Sure. Because I need all the information that I can. But even if Obama did it, it's not right. I don't care who did it. It's not right.
So what do you think is the solution for like the situation at the border? As you know, there's a caravan that's coming up through Mexico right now. I think some people think it might reach up to 10,000 people. What do you think should be done about that?
That I don't know. That's a freaking mess that we have, and there's as many come, more will come. So there needs to be some action taken in the countries that they're coming from, so that they can become stable, livable countries again, so that they can people can survive in them. Nobody wants to go back just to be killed, but we can't take them all, and so we have to help the
people where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they can go back. Mexico especially. Mexico deserves all of our help to get that country really going and get rid of the, they've got to get rid of the drug lords. People are afraid to live in Mexico. They, especially if they have a daughter or a young wife, they're afraid to live there because the drug lords will literally just pick them off the street. And what are you going to do? You're going to fight them? There's no winning.
So you said a lot of the things that Trump is propagating are these very despicable things. What are some of those things? You already mentioned the child separation, but other than that, what are some things that you really despise?
His view on women's issues, all women's issues, from before he got elected to now.
Sure, which one specifically?
The first one at the beginning, where he's grabbing pussies and just bragging about his abilities because he's famous.
Is that inherently wrong to grab by the pussy?
Yes.
I mean, even if it's consensual?
Well, if it's consensual, I don't believe anything consensual should be against the law. I really don't.
How do we know it wasn't consensual?
We don't. This is just a braggadocious remark that he made, so we don't really know. But his history has proved that it is probably true.
You don't think women like throw themselves at him?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are, but I don't believe that that's. I don't believe that any of that the way that he's reacted to normal women and like the trial that they just had with Kavanaugh. You know, everything that he had to say about I've forgotten her name.
Ford
was negative towards women all over the place. Just everybody was offended by it.
How? Well, like which comment specifically?
The one where they're not to be believed and women have too many. An incident that took so long ago, and they want all these details that she couldn't come up with.
Well, he was talking about her specifically in her testimony, and he was kind of like talking about how it's not really fair to destroy a man's career based on allegations that don't have any corroboration, and she can't remember a bunch of pretty essential details that would help investigators try to at least piece a puzzle together.
Okay, and what details are those that you're talking?
Well, for example, whose house was it? Who took her there? How did she get home from there? She even said the names of people there, and all of them said like no party that she's mentioning matches that description, including her best friend Leland Kaiser, who said no such party. I've never even met Kavanaugh, like any of that stuff.
I personally was raped when I was about 18 years old by 4 men. I knew one of them. At the time, I knew all of their names. At the time, I knew where he lived. At the time, I could have told you a lot of those things, but it's been many years now. I only remember the one guy's name. I only remember approximately where he lived. I only remember certain things. Time, it just takes it away. In the first place, when you get raped, the first thing you want to do is forget everything. So that works against you later. I mean, works against you or whatever. But so I have personal experience. I know I can't remember the other guys' names that were in that room that night. But I'll never forget the name of the man who put me in that situation. And I look him up on Facebook every once in a while. He's still hanging around. I've never forgotten it. I've never quit hating him. I've never felt guilty for it. I knew that wasn't my fault. But so people can't remember everything, little details from years ago.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.